Hi, I'm Jessica from Atlantic Wellness, a nonprofit organization that offers free counseling to youth in between the ages of 12 to 21. Today, I'll be providing you a short presentation on social media and boundaries called Develop Your Digital IQ. So, what is digital intelligence? Well, it's all about learning how to be smart online, how to keep yourself safe. It's about understanding the technology and devices we use, such as cell phones and tablets, and really understanding kind of the apps and games that we use on these devices. For example, with Instagram and Snapchat, sorry, really understanding the privacy settings and how they work on these apps because often people don't realize that they update pretty regularly. And sometimes when they update, they turn off the privacy setting, letting anybody be able to see your profile. For us, we operate digital devices, or we see digital devices as a big responsibility. Kind of similar to driving a car. Before you are allowed to drive a car, you have to learn about all the safety features of the car, along with the important rules of the road that you must follow in order to keep yourself and the people that you will be driving with or driving with you safe. Similarly, it's important when using technology to understand how it works and to follow some of the general rules and guidelines that are out there on how to kind of keep yourself safe and stay smart when it comes to using technology. So, for the most part of this presentation, we're going to kind of focus on social media. For many of us, we use social media like all the time. A lot of us are checking it daily, if not multiple times throughout the day. A lot of us use it to connect with other, post things we find interesting online, or if we use it as a way to or express how we're feeling, or just a form of entertainment. So, since we use this stuff all the time, it is important to kind of talk about the good side of social media, along with some of the not so good parts and things that can kind of be associated with social media. So, what are some of the good things? Well, one of the big good things is that it makes us feel good about ourselves. It really produces that good feeling in our body when people comment or like our posts. It kind of gives us that like almost adrenaline or like rush to kind of excitement or happiness when we kind of receive feedback from others that is positive. It also can help us increase our care for others. So when we see people posting about their experiences online, or we see, for example, if someone posts that they lost somebody important to them, we often will reach out or offer condolences and let them know that we're here for them. So it's kind of a way to connect with other people as long as we're in a good state to be able to connect. But ultimately, it does increase our ability to care for other people. A big thing, and especially in the pandemic, is it's been a major player in helping us maintain socialization with others. I mean, for myself, I use it all the time to connect with friends that live in different provinces and family members that I can't go and see because of the pandemic. It's also good to kind of be able to set up kind of things that we can set up like Zoom chats or Zoom meetings, or for us at the center, we use it to kind of connect with our clients. So a lot of people, especially now as the pandemic, as I said, are using it to kind of connect with others. And it's been really great and it's really good way to kind of keep in contact with people, even though we may be separated by like miles and miles. Another thing that it's good for is that it helps us learn. It kind of provides us access to knowledge. We can learn things about different cultures and different places. And by learning about different cultures and different places, it actually helps us increase our tolerance and acceptance, which is honestly very different from like way back in the day, say 20 to 30 years ago, when the majority of our knowledge kind of came from the news or from school or from books, or some people might remember the old encyclopedias. or our own kind of experiences that were shared and told to other people. Now we can easily access and learn about things on our own by going online and connecting with other people from different cultures and different parts of the world. So it's a great, great tool that way. Another piece is that it enables creativity. It is a platform, there's tons of them that are great platforms for us to express ourselves and kind of create cool posts, whether it be those funny or creative or clever TikTok videos that people put out there you may have created with your friends. Some people like to post their art or their own kind of positive statements that they'll say to themselves as an expression to help them feel good. And it's a place where we can kind of put ourselves, our creative selves out there and kind of express ourselves and get feedback on it. So because of that, that is because of all of these things, it's social media is actually a really good thing. The downside is that there are some negative things that can come out when we're using social media if we are not using it smartly and carefully. So, what are some of these bad things? Well, something that can pop out of it is anxiety, for example. Anxiety can pop up when people are scrolling through Instagram, for example, and they're seeing pictures of their friends or videos of their friends out about doing stuff without them when they feel left out because they didn't get invited, or they may think that they were left out. And that can kind of bring on that anxiety of like, oh no, what did I miss out? What did I miss? So for some people, constantly checking social media can actually bring on anxiety. Another piece is like oversharing. For example, a lot of people like to post about their experiences, what they're eating, different foods, or going to a new movie or going to a new activity. They like to share that stuff online. Some people like to overshare, so they like to constantly post about themselves online. And this can actually cause anxiety, especially when we feel like we need to be sharing stuff about our lives with other people, and can cause that anxiety to constantly have to be like, okay, I need to share this. I need to remember to share this and that. So there is that kind of downside right there with social media. Another piece is that it is a platform that people use for online arguments. And it has been known to end friendships. I mean, I myself can say, like, I've known that when an argument starts online, that it often sometimes doesn't get resolved. And when we leave things unresolved in arguments, it can sometimes leads to friendships ending. And this is, I've had this personal experience myself. Another, probably one of the most biggest things, that's why I bolded it, to know is that what you put online is going to be on there forever. And yes, we have the ability to go online and delete things. However, a lot of places back up the stuff that you post online. For example, Snapchat, you get a picture, you think it deletes after a few seconds. However, Snapchat has their own database that saves all of those pictures and all of that content. Another thing to remember is that people can take pictures, screenshots of your photos or your texts or your Instagram posts, and they can be shared over 100 different platforms before you even delete it. How many of you guys have seen a popular Instagrammer or popular influencer or an artist online that's posted something, taken it down within a few minutes, but that post is still out there because people have reposted it? So always remember, the one thing you take away from this is that whatever you post online is going to be out there forever. And there's always a good chance that people, especially if they're really smart, are going to be able to find it. So just kind of be cautious with that. Another big one is cyberbullying. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this in the next slide, but that is something that is a downfall for social media. Another one is it lowers productivity levels. It's easy to get distracted. How many of us have these devices sitting right next to us right now if you're watching this? Or if you're often doing work, have it sitting near you so that it's easy within or it's within arm's reach. A lot of us do. And a lot of us will have it set to vibrate or to have a ring. So every time we hear that ding or every time we hear that shaking sound, our immediate reaction is to go pick up the phone, look at it, and see what was posted or to see if we got a text message and what it says. And this disrupts our ability to kind of maintain and focus on a task. So it's a pretty easy distraction. Another one to pay attention to is that it does change our social skills. And this is a pretty big one because, as mentioned with like online arguments, when we get into arguments online through text messaging or Instagram, we often lose the ability to kind of deal with that confrontation in person because when we're texting online, we often have this kind of like sense of anonymousness. Like we can say stuff, we don't have to see the person's reaction, we don't have to see their hurt or them getting upset or them feeling angry at us when we're sending them messages through text messaging. However, when we're dealing with confrontation or issues or trying to talk to people face to face, we have to deal with those emotional cues. We will see when we say stuff the person's hurt or upset. We will see if it makes them mad. And how we react to that comes into play in this case. So when we don't practice kind of dealing with things face to face, we lose that ability to kind of navigate those reactions, if that makes sense. Another thing to remember is that with online arguments, we often will read a message that comes from a friend from our point of view, and it's not going to necessarily be accurate to the other person's point of view. So that's kind of a big thing that plays into why social media can be a downfall with like the online arguments and the changing our social skills aspect is that we lose a lot of that communication piece that we naturally develop when we have and talk about hard things with people in person, or if we started online, continue that conversation in person when we see the people. So that's just a few of the not so great things. The big one I wanted to talk about is cyberbullying. Excuse me, because this is something that is hard to get away from. It follows you everywhere. It follows people that are getting cyberbullied. It follows them home. It follows them to school. It follows them to their extracurricular activities. It could follow them for going on a walk if they have their phone on them. With cyberbullying, because it's online, as long as the person that's getting bullied has access to the internet and to all of the apps and stuff that this is happening on, or to even getting text messages, this is something that is going to stick with them. It's going to follow them around. There's almost a sense of like not being able to escape it. And I can guarantee that you've known at least one, if not many more people that have been cyberbullied. There was this old statistic, I think, that said that if you were to look to your left and to look to your right, that at least one of those people at some point had been bullied online. So it's a very common thing. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things to kind of what you can do when you get harmful posts or harmful text messages. But I really want to kind of bring awareness that this is something that still goes on very much to this day. And when cyberbullying happens, it's important to reach out to other people and to connect with people that you know are safe that can help you. It's another big thing is to disconnect, to kind of put away the phone, to kind of take a step back from your cell phone, take a step back from social media, to kind of get that break away from it because it does follow us, or it can follow us as they're getting cyberbullying, and that break from it is important. So, kind of adding on to that, kind of going back to some of the not so great things that we really want people to be aware of, is to kind of think about this question of like, do you know who's watching your social media? Do you know who has access to your text messages or your posts? Because a lot of the time we don't realize how little privacy we actually have on the internet. As mentioned before, apps update constantly. Sometimes apps, if we have it set on auto update, they'll update without our permission. And what some people don't know is when these things update, they change the privacy settings. So if you've gone the extra mile and made sure your accounts are privated, which we encourage everyone to kind of keep your accounts private, then that update can change that on you. And so things that were private now become unprivated. And as mentioned, people can take snapshots and screenshots and share them without your permission all the time. So if you're posting things online that you don't want other people to see, it's important to make sure that one, your account is private, two, that you know who's watching your account. Because the other big thing is a lot of what you post online, even when it's privated, certain people, especially the police, for example, would be able to access it under a bunch of conditions. So nothing you can nothing you post online you can guarantee to be private. And a lot of people are going to be looking at your accounts, whether it be strangers, future employers, your schools, your parents, their parents' friends, other people from school, colleges if you're planning on going to college. All of these people can look at your accounts, and it's very easy to look at your accounts if they're not privated. So one of the things that we do recommend, like I said, is to kind of click off that privacy setting and try to keep your accounts as private as possible and to know who is watching it. So another statement that we like to go by the center, and I think this one is great, is an old saying back in the day, which I still hope they say today, because it's an awesome saying, is to dance like nobody's watching, to just let loose and not care. However, when it comes to social media, you really want to post like somebody's watching you over your shoulder. You want to post things that you would be comfortable posting and be okay if it got out there and got spread across the internet. So you really want to post like somebody's watching. So for us, we like to think of the acronym THINK. So at the center here, we always kind of talk about this acronym. So before you post, you want to pause for a second and think, is what I'm posting true? Is it actually something that people will find helpful, or is it helpful for me? Is it something that could be inspiring or nice for people to see or make them feel good or make me feel good? Is it necessary to post this? This is a big one for those that like to post a lot about kind of what they're doing throughout the day, every day of the minute. And the really big one is it kind? Is it something nice that you're posting online? Is it going to make the people that see your post feel good? Is it going to make them think that you're a nice person? So, when posting online, just take a second and kind of remember this acronym of like, think before you post. True, is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And is it kind? So, now I'm going to talk just a little bit briefly about kind of the boundaries on social media because it's important to kind of consider what information you are posting online. Because what we post online lets people have more knowledge about us, which isn't always necessarily a bad thing. However, when we share a lot about ourselves, it is easier for people that we may not want to find as strangers or people that we don't want to know anything about us. It really provides them with more information. So, for example, it's important to think about kind of what are your boundaries around sharing your full name, for example. Are you going to share your full name on every website you go to or every app? Or if you're playing a video game online with strangers? Are you going to tell them your full name, your real age? Are you going to tell them where you live, what school you go to, even what city you live in? The more details you give people online, the easier it is for people to find you. That's one of the big things I will say, is that the more information that you give people you don't know online, even if it's false, people can typically figure things out by how you talk. What I mean by that, for example, is if you are a 13-year-old pretending to be an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old, a lot of older people might be able to figure out your age based upon the language we use. So, really kind of be cautious and really think about, like, what are you okay with sharing online and what are you not okay with sharing online? So here's a list if you want to pause the video and kind of go over these list of boundaries here and kind of think about, like, what are you okay with posting and what are you not? What are you okay with people knowing or posting online and what are you not okay with people posting and knowing online? And remember that when you accept people you don't know on to like Snapchat or Instagram, for example, or Facebook, if things are not privated, right, they will have access to all this information, which makes it easier for people to find you. So, just something to be cautious about. That kind of comes back to that being smart online piece. So, kind of recircling back to the cyberbullying, we're going to talk a little bit about harmful posts, what those look like, and kind of what you can do about them. So, harmful posts are posts that we do or other people do, which is sharing pictures and videos without permission. This is something that is not okay. If you're going to share something online and it has somebody else in it, whether it be in the picture or in the video, you need to get their permission first because they may not actually be okay with you posting it online. And even though it may seem like a harmless, silly video, to them it might actually be something that's really embarrassing and something they don't want to get out there, which could cause a fight between you guys and can actually really hurt the person. So really kind of always check with that. Another person piece is obviously, as mentioned before, with the boundaries, posting identifying information. So address, phone number, pictures of you with your school sign, all of that kind of information that's put out there really lets people find you, figure you out. There have definitely been cases, you can easily Google it and find cases of people getting in trouble or hurt based upon letting strangers know their addresses or phone numbers. People have been abducted from this kind of information being posted online. So be careful with that information of what you post. Think about it. Another one is obviously a post that threatens or is insulting people or is just a really mean post about someone, something that's targeted. This kind of falls into that cyberbullying category even more. And these are not okay posts. These posts can hurt people in many ways, both mentally and sometimes in the end physically. And regardless if it's mental or physical, pain is still pain. And a harmful post like these can really hurt people. So just to be cautious of that. Another big one, which I'm going to have a few slides separate to it, is harmful posts are like can actually be sending pictures of videos of yourself naked or nudes, showing private parts of your body, also known as sexting. We're going to dedicate a few little slides to this at the end just to kind of go a bit more over it. But all of these four things are what we would consider harmful posts, as in they can harm people intentionally or unintentionally. So, what do you do when you receive a harmful post or something that's inappropriate? One, first thing I always say, if you post something online that's harmful, or you receive something that's harmful, or you see something, delete it, block it. That way, you're not going to be continuously seeing that harmful messaging. Another one is if you see something that's being shared about somebody else that's mean or falls into that harmful post category, don't share it. Don't even like or comment on it. Because when you share and like and comment on it, you're actually partaking in the bullying and you're not helping necessarily make the situation better. For example, you may want to make want to be helpful and come from a good place by commenting on a post by telling the person that this is not okay to post them. But sometimes that can kind of come back on us as then the person that made the horrible post is now targeting you since you stood up for the person. So sometimes, depending on the situation, it's best not to engage with the person that is making those harmful posts. Another piece is to report images. So this really comes into play when it's images that is upsetting to somebody or a video that's upsetting, or if it's specifically if you're seeing inappropriate photos, or for example, we talked about nudes. Those are things that are important to report to people that can deal with them. So either an adult, trusted adult, or somebody older than you, or somebody that has the ability to deal with it. Another one, a big one, is talk to an adult about it. If you are being bullying or you are seeing negative posts online or being shown things that you don't want to see, or you being asked to send news, for example, it's important to go to somebody that you feel like you can trust and talk to them about this and get help with it. There are people out there that want to help kind of manage harmful posts so that they don't hurt you anymore, be able to deal with them. And sometimes we don't feel like we can deal with them on our own. And when we don't feel like we can deal with them on our own, always know that it's okay to reach out and ask somebody for help. Even if you don't know who to talk to that's an adult, you can reach out to a friend and see if maybe they can talk to an adult for you. So, those are just some ways to kind of deal with inappropriate and harmful posts. So, as I mentioned, we're going to talk just a little bit about sexting because I think it's important for people to know kind of the rules that are around sexting that people have to follow based upon what is law. So, sexting isn't just texting, sending people texts using like sexy language, for example. It's more than that. It's about kind of sending pictures or sending videos of yourself. And a lot of the time, people are really pressured into this, especially when they're in middle school and high school. They'll often be pressured by other people to send them pictures of certain body parts or to send them videos of certain body parts, or to be like, to be asked to do certain things that they're not uncomfortable with and send that to the person that is asking for it. And often the time, like the people will repeatedly, constantly be messaging the person until the person caves in and sends them a naked picture of a piece of their body or their whole body. So this isn't something that necessarily is always done because the person wants to. There are often a lot of people are pressured into this, into sexting before they're ready. And like with that, when you're pressured into it, there becomes the regret. So a lot of people, even if they're not pressured into it, can end up regretting sharing the pictures, especially when they thought the pictures were being shared privately. For example, I've known of tons of cases where I think there's a specific case in another province where someone had thought they had shared, they sent their boyfriend at the time a picture of themselves naked, and they thought that it was going to be private, just something between the two of them. The boyfriend, now ex boyfriend, went around and shared it with all of his friends, sending it to all of his guy friends. This, as I'm going to mention, is highly illegal. So he ended up getting into a lot of trouble with the police. Um, and as a result ended up getting charged with child pornography because it's what it's kind of labeled under. And that girl regretted kind of sharing those photos because whether you're a girl or a guy or um, they or them, when you're sharing things with somebody else that you're hoping to be private and they go against your wishes and then share it with other people, that kind of leads into feeling a lot of regret for even trusting the person to begin with to share those very intimate photos or videos. And like I mentioned with that story, not everything's 100% private. Even if you think you're sending it to someone that you trust, there's always a chance that even if you broke up, they could then take those pictures and show them off to other people. So, the big thing to note is the legal issues around sexting. It is, if you are under the age of 18, by law, it is considered illegal to send naked videos or pictures of yourself to other people. You need to be at least 18 or older to engage in sexting. So once you turn 18, you can consent or you can say it's okay to give that, it's okay to send that picture to your partner. However, based upon law in Canada, if you're under the age of 18, they don't consider you to be old enough to make that decision. This second piece knows that it has to be consensual. So even if you're above 18, if you're sending a picture or a video, it's because you want to be sending that picture or video to the person you're sending to. If that person is pressuring you to send those pictures, even if you're above 18, that is illegal. That pressuring is not okay. And as I mentioned in that story, if you remember, it is considered child pornography. If there is a naked picture of somebody under the age of 18 or video of a person under the age of 18 that is put out there, it is considered child pornography. Even if you get it and you don't show anyone, it still, by law, falls under kind of the child pornography. So we cannot make, if we're under the 18, we cannot make, so take pictures or videos, keep, view, or post these videos or photos anywhere. If we do, it can lead to legal issues of being charged with child pornography. And like I said, there are a few cases, I know a few in another province where this was the case, and individuals that were teenagers did get charged with this felony. So, kind of a wrap it up of just sharing information online. Always assume that what you share online, or sorry, never assume that everything you share online is going to stay private. And know that it is forever. If you post it online, it is going to be on there potentially and most likely forever. So, if possible, try to avoid posting any identifying information about yourself. Keep tabs on your privacy settings since they can change without notice. So every once in a while, go in and check to make sure things are still privated. Another big thing, don't post when you're upset. Don't text a friend or somebody when you're upset, because often that can kind of lead to those online fights or can lead into blow it up into a bigger thing that when you want to. So if you feel like venting, we always say to kind of do a less permanent meme. Basically, there's no screenshots of you venting to somebody else. So less permanent means talk to somebody in person or call them over the phone and kind of let out your feelings that way versus creating a long post and sending it on to or posting it on Instagram or Snapchat, for example. Remember, sexting is illegal if you are under 18 and if you are not, and if you're above 18, it's illegal if you are not consenting to it. The other big one, especially when it comes to all of us, not just because of cyberbullying or because of having negative impacts because of social media, it's always important to take breaks. If you want to go for a walk by yourself or with your family or friends, think about leaving your phone or your tablet in the house as you go on outside and enjoy kind of the nice fresh air that's coming about. Try to like take breaks away from it and kind of let your brain disconnect from all of the kind of worries that you may have with what's being posted online. So breaks are really important. So always remember, post the things online that you want people to know about you. So really follow that THINK acronym. And that is all that I'm going to share with you today. So hopefully you gained some information. I hope you enjoyed the presentation and thank you for watching. Bye.